Hello, and welcome to another edition of Think Like an Attorney, the podcast where you either think or sink. My name is Brendan Cody, and I'll be your host today. And the topic today is Don't Be a Doormat, legal techniques that lawyers use in order to stand up for themselves. I think that when we look back on our lives, we look at two things. One is our greatest victories. The other is our greatest regrets. And one of those regrets that I think we see time and time again is that I didn't stand up for myself when I had the chance. I wish I could do that over again. The point I want to get across today here is that if we stand up for ourselves, it can translate into one of our greatest victories in life. And those are the memories that we are certainly worth keeping. There's a great quote that I remember hearing, and I'll share it with you now. It's called "The Dignity of Retaliating Against Your Oppressor." And I'm not talking about revenge. I'm not talking about trying to obliterate your opponent. But what I am saying is you stand up to those that attempt to oppress you. You stand your ground instead of giving in. You stand your ground instead of compromising. This is standing up to a bully, which is very difficult, but some of these techniques I think are going to be helpful in order to help you cope with that and to achieve a victory over a bully. The first technique that I think is best to use is the technique of seriousness. If you can be the most serious person in the room, I think that is going to garner great respect by your opponents for you. This means no smiling. This means no joking. This means not being casual. Remember the old adage, casualness causes casualties. And you want to make sure that by being the most serious person in the room, nobody is going to mess with you. Seriousness comes in the form of, as I said, your demeanor, your posture, your stance, your facial expression, which essentially should not be much of an expression at all. I don't think it's good to smile or be affable. Rather, you should be deliberate in terms of your interactions with other people, especially when you're in a confrontation with another a business opponent or even a legal opponent. There's far too much levity, far too much political correctness, and outright casualness in meetings, I think, today. People may say about you after you leave the room or after you've gone after a meeting, why is he so serious? I say, why not? It's very important to be old-fashioned 1950s business tone, I think, in order to really achieve the goals and the ends and to establish yourself with a reputation. When we talk about that seriousness, people will think twice before they mess with you or attempt to embarrass you. It's a superior, I think, self-defense mechanism in order to garner greater business results when you're in an opposing type of situation. This doesn't mean to be impolite. This doesn't mean to be rude. It simply means we're here to talk business, and business is business, and that's all we're going to talk about today. Another tactic that I look at that I think causes people to maybe push you around is the notion of upspeak. What does upspeak mean? I see it too many times. It's become a fad. It's become popular. Upspeak means when you speak to someone and you say a statement, which is meant to be a statement, but it comes out in the form of a question. So, for example, if we say from the standpoint, Your Honor, I'd like to submit this evidence. Your Honor, we have the case of Johnson versus Smith. You see the upspeak in my voice? It sounds like you're asking a question. It sounds like you're asking for permission in advance. It sounds like you're almost apologizing in advance for what you're saying. I prefer more of a downspeak. Your Honor, we quote Smith versus Jones as our authority. That's downspeak. You may recall President Obama did that a lot in his speeches. He kind of did a little bit of overkill on that, but the point was really good that he made. He would speak downspeak, and I am the President of the United States. He would downspeak, and that would make his point and give a much greater weight to authority. So I think that it's important not to apologize in advance and not to employ the kind of the 10th grade type of high school approach to making a statement. Never be timid in the delivery of your argument. The tone, as they've always said, it's not the content, it's the tone of a statement. I think that really rings true here. It's the tone that precedes you if you're deadly serious, as well as using downspeak to emphasize an authoritative point. A third technique to prevent you from being a doormat is the counter-interruption technique. What is counter-interruption? It means simply this. I always see it in network news, in talk shows, where everyone interrupts each other. They talk at the same time, which makes things impossible to understand. But you always see someone speaking, and then someone just interrupts them. And the person speaking, the first person, stops. The first person ceases with their point in order to yield to someone who's interrupted them. I think the best defense against that is to keep speaking. Keep talking even though they're interrupting you, and stay level with your tone. By staying level with your tone, you proceed to finish your thought and finish your sentence despite the interruption. If someone gives you a hard time, you can simply give them a good comeback line and indicate to them, look, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you were saying while you were interrupting my presentation. Do you get the gist? I think that's an important way to kind of put someone in their place if they interrupt you. Do not allow yourself to be interrupted. It screams low self-esteem. It screams no confidence. Keep proceeding with what your position is until you're finished. Then you can stop. Then you can allow someone to speak out of a matter of courtesy. I remember when we talk about speaking at the same time, which is something you should really avoid. I remember in depositions we had a court reporter, and deposition reporters court reporters are notorious for only being able to take down one person at a time. So if people would talk, this particular reporter would find that the lawyer and the witness were speaking at the same time. The lawyer would lift her hands, and everyone would look and say, she's not taking anything down. This was her silent way of saying, I can't listen to nor take down two people speaking at the same time. So that's a courtesy I think that we should want to keep in mind whenever we're conversing with other individuals. This particular interruption defense takes practice. It's not easy to do because our natural inclination is to stop. You have to fight that inclination. So that covers the interruption technique. A fourth technique that prevents you from being stepped on or walked on is total preparation. If you know your topic backward and forward, if you know your topic thoroughly with facts, figures, the gist of basic documents, you can never go wrong. When someone sees that you are fully prepared and you know your stuff, you know your case, they're going to be less likely to try to push you around on the facts or step all over you when it comes to your presentation. There's no substitute for preparation, and that preparation will always show. A final technique that I look to is to prevent being walked on is the hypothetical. Many times in arguments, and even in Court of Appeals arguments, the hypothetical is used to try to box in an individual. In my book, which I have a copy of and available on Amazon, is Think Like an Attorney, Power Thinking for the Courtroom of Life. In my book, I have a section regarding hypotheticals and why they are dangerous. Hypotheticals, I think, are a way for an opponent to attack you and to take you off course regarding your particular presentation. Hypotheticals by their nature, are simply a situation where it hasn't happened. It's a mythical type of set of facts, not the real facts that we're dealing with. And when someone presents you with the what if or how about this variation on the facts, be alert that they're trying to box you in and embarrass you with a hypothetical. My view is simply say, I don't do hypotheticals. That particular fact situation hasn't occurred and may never occur. We need to stick with the facts that we're dealing with now on this particular case or on this particular presentation. This helps you really strongly maintain your dignity in the arena and not to be sidetracked by a hypothetical. I always remember the quote in the movie True Grit. Rooster Cogburn was quoted as saying, I do not abide hypotheticals. I find the real world vexing enough. And that is a great quote to kind of keep in mind that maybe you can throw back at someone trying to box you in on a hypothetical. Don't do it. Just deal with the facts that you have in front of you and only those particular facts. I hope that these 5 techniques will help make you a stronger, more confident person in the eyes of opposition. And I think that they cover a number of situations that really can help protect you and proceed with a greater and stronger reputation when it comes to opposing people regarding your presentation and your facts. So never get walked on again. Hopefully these techniques will help. And remember, think like an attorney. There is no substitute. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.